This week's Lee Jasper Drive Time is a special. No Brixton Analytica, no Vox Pops. We're talking to the family of Hakim Sillah about how a young man at 18 can attend an anti-knife awareness course and end up dead as a consequence of attending. This is Lee Jasper Drive Time. Press like, hit the bell and subscribe to this channel, bringing breaking news from the front line of Britain's battle for race equality justice.
Hi, my name's Lee Jasper. This is Brixton, London, and you're watching Lee Jasper Drive Time.
Welcome, Ishmael Silla, to Lee Jasper's Drive Time. And on the rare occasions in my news reporting career, tragedy and misery have been the narrative of people who found themselves victims. Your family has unfortunately and very recently found itself in that tragic position. Your nephew, Hakim Sillah, who attended an anti-knife awareness course in Hillingdon, London, was found to be murdered after attending that course within the Civic Centre. So we offer you our profound condolences to you and the family. The whole of London is shocked. The whole of our communities are shocked. And we're delighted that you're with us today, but commiserate and offer our condolences both to yourself and your family.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the circumstances then in terms of how Hakim so tragically lost his life.
On last week Thursday, Hakim was at home taking care of his younger brother, and he had a previous appointment already to go to this knife awareness program, and Mum came back, and Mum took Hakim and drove him to the Civic Centre. And he asked Mum, would you pick me up? And Mum said, no, make your way back home. And as far as we understand, because you must know the local authority have not spoken to us, and we do not have the actual information of what happened. Only one person who could tell us what happened, and he's passed away. And that's Hakim. He's been murdered now. But by what we are hearing, he was sitting down on a chair in the room in the Civic Centre where the cause was being held, and another boy walked in and stabbed him. And he did not even have a time to react. And we understand it was one of these, not your penknife, one of these scary sort of
Gang related?
The boy, there's no gang activity per se in Hillingdon.
And so the circumstances you were explaining, he was attending a knife awareness course.
Yes.
Was he an individual who was there because he was violent, he was using a knife himself, or what was the reason for him being there?
Hakim never used a knife at anyone. Hakim always, he was a big, strong lad, but within our local area, we do have some very, very non-black gangs.
Non-black? You mean, by non-black you mean white?
Yes.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
we talk in Hillingdon, where we used to have the MP Terry Dix, and I know you know what that means.
Absolutely.
So he was having at times to be worried about his safety.
In terms of racial attack?
Yes.
In Hillingdon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so that was particularly why. But then, because the black boys get stopped and searched.
Yes.
And the others don't get stopped and searched.
Yes.
He was found to have carried a knife, and he was asked to attend this knife awareness course,
Yeah.
which he did.
Uh-huh.
And we obviously sat him down and spoke to him as a family, and he was very much aware, because as I always said to him, you were not allowed to make the mistakes others could make. You would get the harshest possible punishment if you're found with a knife again. So he knew that, and he studiously attended this course and was carrying on with his college. He was at Hammersmith College and carrying on with his studies and his course there. So that's why Hakim was at this knife awareness course.
So let me be clear, he was at risk in terms of that he felt he'd carried a knife to protect himself.
Yes.
He had been caught in a stop and search,
Yes.
and he was required to attend a knife crime awareness.
Yes.
Was he generally involved in violent activities?
No, no, no.
Could you describe him as a gang member?
No.
So this is somebody who previously been in trouble with the police?
No.
Never been in trouble with the police. Frightened of racist attack, carried a weapon because most young people who are frightened and lack of trust in the police do, and then was required to attend this course.
Yes.
So this course is for people like Hakim who may be at risk of carrying a knife or using a knife.
Yes.
And in the consequences of this knife training awareness course, which was held where?
In the Civic Centre at Hillingdon.
So this is in the town hall space.
Yes.
And it's organised by Hillingdon Council,
Yes, it is.
Hillingdon Metropolitan Police Service.
Yes.
And I assume that they take responsibility, as it were, for the event, putting the event on.
Yes, all the local authorities
Yes.
concerned about Hillingdon were responsible for holding this event.
And at this event, Hakim was just set upon and murdered?
The boy walked in and stabbed him.
Didn't sit down, didn't have a discussion, just
No,
walked straight to Hakim
And
stabbed him where?
he stabbed him, and Hakim, Hakim got up when stabbed, and he stabbed him again. And Hakim stumbled and fell down, and he was walking out.
So this was in front of all of the other young people that were there?
And the council social workers or whoever
And the
were in charge
council's-
of holding the course administrators there, or whoever were doing the course.
So there were police there, there were council officers there.
I don't know if they were police as such, but there were, we believe, 3 council responsible officials who were supposed to be administering the course. And we're not talking about 10 boys.
Yeah.
We believe there were only about 5 boys.
Right, so it's a small group.
Small group.
Right. But I assume that you and your family thought, well, this will be good for him if it keeps him on the straight and narrow, and he learns that actually carrying a knife could lead you into bigger problems. He seems to have a supportive family, so you sent him on the course hoping for the best.
Yeah, well, on the day, I mean, Mum was a little bit late coming back, and Hakim said to Mum, maybe I should not go to this course. And Mum said, no, you have to go to this course. And that's why Mum drove him down there, in fact. So it was a case of he was being we made sure he did attend the course. And he had the full support of everyone to make sure he did attend this course. So I mean, I obviously don't have to explain the implications of Mum driving her son to a cause and being murdered, and how that affects Mum on her own.
Tell us about how you heard and the impacts upon the family, because as you say, Mum would have wanted him to live up to his word, do the right thing. He said, I don't really fancy it today, Mum. And she said, no, you've said you're going, so we'll go. I'll drop you there. You can make your own way back. Yes. I mean, she must be racked with all sorts of conflicting emotions in relation to the loss of her son as a consequence of that.
Yeah. And that probably would always play on her mind. That would always play on her mind.
How did you hear about Hakim's death?
I think Mum was told.
On the phone, or was she told in person? Or
she was told that he was at the hospital.
Right.
I believe. Now, the hospital's probably about 5-10 minutes walk away from Mum's house.
Right.
And she was only told after Hakim had passed away. Hakim, we understand, was sent into the ambulance on his own with no one with him, and you could understand the fact that, I mean, Hakim just been there on his own, dying on his own, and no family members around him when Mum was only 5 minutes walk away.
It's horrendous.
All of this just plays on the family's mind in a much more painful way.
Yes, yes. And how did you personally hear?
My son phoned me and said, "Dad, have you heard what's happened to Hakim?" Because another boy phoned him, another mutual friend. I mean, my boy's 16, coming up 16 now, so they kind of have mutual friends. And he phoned me, he said, "Dad, have you heard what's happened to Hakim?" And he was not sure himself, but he knew something had happened. And that's how we started to get to know about this.
Right.
Apparently, the boy who stabbed Hakim came out of the council offices and found another boy saying, "I've just smoked Hakim, his body is lying down."
So, your understanding is that the boy who killed your nephew actually left the town hall.
Yes.
How he manages to leave is a question that rings in my ears. But he left the town hall, and he's actually on the phone, boasting about the murder to some other boy.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
And in relation to the family, obviously this has happened, less than a week ago now?
Yes. So today's the 7th day.
And he died on the...
On Thursday at 4:56 p.m. he was pronounced dead.
Okay. And since that point, clearly, you've been inundated with sympathy flowers, you've had apologies, you've had explanations?
We've not had any word from the local authorities at all. All we have had to deal with are the police and the family liaison officer, and that's with the natural criminal process that goes through. Nothing from the local authority, I mean, nothing in terms of, say, even could they send over a bereavement counsellor to us?
So you've had no therapeutic bereavement support or offer?
No.
You've had no formal apology from Hillingdon Council?
No.
Have you had any, your local MP is Boris Johnson, I believe?
Yes.
And have you had any note or call from his office to offer sympathy?
No, none at all. None at all. I mean, we just... We probably don't even think he even knows about it because it's been so silent from the whole...
Beginning of the incident?
Yes, everyone's been so silent. I mean, it seems as if he probably doesn't even know what's happening.
And in relation to mum and dad and family and so on and so forth, one can only imagine the pain and the trauma that they're going through in relation to all these matters. And the particular circumstances that gave rise to young Hakim's death. It's critically important that we're able to send our children to safe spaces, particularly organised by statutory authorities, and they are kept safe. This must be absolute shock and horror, because this should have been the last place where harm should have been fallen any young person. What would you say to those that organise knife crime awareness events or bringing young people at risk together in terms of their responsibilities for keeping young people safe?
I mean, it's a bit strange to say, but then it would have probably been less painful had he been stabbed in the streets, because you kind of think he's there without protection, and to that's the strangest thing to say, but
understandable in the context.
Yes, with that happening within the Civic Centre offices, in the room actually provided to have a discussion with young people at risk about avoiding knife and the knife crimes and everything that goes with it, for this to happen is just unbelievable. Just it just throws. I mean, the pain just multiplies a few million times because you do not. It's as if the local authority facilitated his death, his murder. That's what it seems like to us. They facilitated his murder.
I think that certainly one would agree with you insofar as surely if you're having a knife crime event to raise awareness about the dangers of knife crime, the first thing you do is make sure that anybody who's attending it is not carrying a knife. That would seem to me basic principle of safeguarding, and one would have thought would have been automatic in such an event. But time again we keep hearing of safeguarding events that are not as safe as they are described. So your family's in shock and trauma. You're planning funeral arrangements as we speak, no doubt. Are you planning to have your funeral here, or what's the plans for Hakim?
Well, I mean, every day our kids wake up and they go through the online chatter, and we see words like someone saying, "Are you still on about that Hakim crap?"
Wow.
And the other one saying, "Hakim, such a nice Cockney name, almost Welsh." And you sort of know, you probably do not want his grave desecrated and all the atmosphere that goes around. The least we could do is control where he rests in peace and is laid to rest. You know, that's the least we could do in this situation. We would not like him to be rested here where his grave would be desecrated. His memory will be permanently soiled at any turn when somebody feels like doing a rant about some people of colour and black people or anything. So we very much thinking it should not be here.
So let me be clear, you've suffered online abuse, commentary in relation to Hakim's death in the immediate aftermath of his murder.
Yeah.
And that your view is that the hostility in the country generally is at such a level that you wouldn't want to risk his grave being desecrated by burying him here in this country.
Well, the system failed us.
System failed you.
The system failed us, and the atmosphere in a place like Hillingdon is painfully aggressive.
Has Hillingdon got a racism problem?
They would probably tell you it hasn't.
What's your view?
Well, when black boys walk about, they do feel worried.
So black communities in Hillingdon feel themselves being the target of abuse and harassment from others?
So, some might say they don't feel that way, but some of us, my nephew did feel that way.
Okay. And what's your message then to the Prime Minister, whose constituency you live in, the leader of the council, Hillingdon, and the Commissioner of Metropolitan Police, all whom have some responsibility in regards to these issues and matters, and particular responsibility given the association of the Prime Minister with that borough?
Well, I mean, I can only speak to him as an MP for now and disregard his authority. And I hope he could be an MP that brings people together. I hope he could be an MP that allows us all to discuss things that do matter and how we all do grow as a society. The policing aspect, I'm not too sure. Stop and search is an evenly spread thing. You know, I'm not sure how evenly spread it is for that boy who stabbed my nephew, who was not black, to be walking about with two knives, which in my younger days we'll call a cutlass, not even a knife.
Huge knives.
Yes, huge ones. You know, walking about with two of those into a local authority.
So this young man has walked into a Civic Centre town hall to a knife crime event carrying two, what we would call machetes,
Yes.
on his person.
On his person.
And has walked right past security, police officers, whomsoever else is there,
Yes.
to stab Hakim.
Yes.
It's absolutely
And
outrageous.
he stabbed him and walked out. Right.
When was he eventually arrested, do you know?
We've not been given
Any
any
detail?
information regards that. I mean, they've not even confirmed who he is. We merely get to know from information brought to us by others, like this telephone call that he made, and things like that.
So you've really not had much by way of offering condolences, offering apology, offering traumatic bereavement counselling and services, and I would suggest even, you know, whether or not you're in need of any other kind of assistance in the aftermath of this tragic murder. You've seem to have been offered very little.
Apart from a couple of discussions with the family liaison officer and being allowed to look at Hakim's body, visit Hakim's body, which is something I don't wish on anyone.
The trauma of seeing your nephew lay on a mortuary slab must have been beyond endurance.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Hakim Silla, here on Lee Jasper's Drive Time. We understand that it must have been enormously difficult and trying time for you and your family as you seek to come to terms with this horrific tragedy. As you seek in your journey for justice for Hakim, which we hope and pray is delivered, if we can be of any assistance in terms of the pursuit of justice, or indeed in helping repatriate Hakim's body back to Sierra Leone for safe burial, then we'd only be delighted to do so. But thank you very much for appearing on Lee Jasper Drive Time.
Thank you very much on behalf of the family. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much.